if your foundation is built on competing with black men, if your foundation is built on competing without unification, then you've already started for the wrong reasons. It has to be built on principles and values of a sound foundation. If it is not built on those ethics and morals, then it's doomed to fail, because I'm going to tell you this. It is not easy for us to come together. Yeah, I'm channeling my Fred Hampton right now. It ain't easy for us to come together. So you go find things that can dismantle you at a quickness. Be women, ego, the biggest one right there. I don't even have to go too much further. Then we get to money. Women, egos, and money. And imagine you can get past those, then you got to get to the next one. See, all people so disrespectful. This is why most of us don't know how to make it. You got ego, women, money. Then what's the next one for black men? Fear. See, the fear rots in the heart, destroys the faith and belief and the vision. The fear makes one selfish because they think about just themselves when you start to fear. See, when you start to fear, it rots your vision from being produced outward into reality, because you're finding an excuse and a reason to stop. And it's selfish because you're supposed to be willing to sacrifice for the next generation. Well, I don't want to talk like this. I can't stand next to that brother. I might miss an opportunity because the white counterpart might not give me the same opportunity they see me standing next to Keith. They're going to say, do you believe what he believed, and why did you believe such? Do you believe that about me, what he said? They start questioning. And then you start folding under pressure trying to figure out, what do I say? Oh, well, I rock with Keith, but we don't have the same beliefs. You start making up excuses. You start throwing your brother under the bus. Instead of standing on the foundation and say, who you are to question me? No, you answer my questions. Who are you to question me? So the question is, somebody said, why is women one of them? Because women, see, I want y'all to understand one thing about men. And that's why I said ego in women. It's not that women are the catalyst to destroy the organization. It's the weakness on the interior of men that is destroyed by the jealousy that can come in between men when women are there. And see, you got a lot of men who have built their foundation on in front of social media. And see, they're not used to the observation of women, seeing them in leadership position. See, they're not used to being around other men where they may not be the alpha. And then the women might not see them as the same, because you're more impressive when you by yourself. But if you stack that man up to next to another man, well, he don't care. They don't care about your car. Oh, it ain't your car no more. It ain't the house that you bought. It ain't the vacation that you took. It ain't the rollie on your wrist. Now they want to see which man has the most powerful mind. And then so y'all start competing. She's looking at you a certain way. Or maybe a girl come around smiling and snickering and laughing a little too much. Then the men start to get jealous. Then they don't want to be seen. They don't want to stand next to each other. They don't want to give another one too much shine, because you feel like it's going to take your place in the household as being the man. You don't know how to play your position. Be comfortable around other guys in their frequency. Learn to master your channel so she can always vibrate on your energy. Regardless of what another man has, she still sees the empowerment of the God in you consistently building, even from which each other has, and how y'all support each other. And a support system of what y'all give each other is attractive to her, because you don't have insecurities. Makes her feel more secure in your confidence. She starts to believe in you the more that she believes in herself, or as much as she believes in herself, rather. See, you don't know how to reverse the insecurities. So this is the reason that women come in between a lot of men, especially when there's men-led organizations. But see, in the BWO, what y'all don't see in the background is this is a women-backed organization. I seen a quote online. It said, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that if it were not for God, the only thing worthy of being worshipped would be the woman. And if you look in the background of BWO, that's where the women are. The BWO is backed by women. You know, they said a dollar used to be backed by gold. So you say, what is the BWO backed by? The BWO is backed by women, because you can't build a black world organization without a womb. See, where that one is next to that 9, it represents something to be uncovered, something to be revealed. See, when that masculine is next to that feminine, that's when God comes into play. But if the masculine is just next to the masculine, that's not God. It has to have a womb. A sperm needs an egg. See, hot needs cold to balance. This is the cosmic balance of the universe. You understand me? Them 9 planets need that sun, don't they? That feminine planets need that sun. See, everything has a cosmic order, and without the balance, everything is destroyed. Everything. So in the black world order, the most important piece that y'all don't see for the men that is on the front lines is the women that's holding it up. When you go to the BWO help and you put in a help ticket to say, I need some help with this, that's the women on the back end that structured and engineered that created them systems. Oh, the masculine, we are in front. This is the masculine. We the front runners. We the front of the world order. But the feminine is what backs the suns, rotates around the suns, follows the suns, and it keeps it all in balance. When you study astrology, what do they say? Each planet has a pull. You understand me? Different energies in connection. That's astronomy. That's a fact. But see, you have to understand the connection of how these things work together. You got the man, then you got the womb man. And man means mind. So when we say man, we're talking about mind. So you got the mind, then you got the mind with the womb. So she has an additional capability. So we are hyper vigilant and focused from a logical order standpoint. And this logic and this order, it can't be touched. But see, when we take what we have and we put it in the womb, then we maximize it and we increase our value. Now, I want y'all to listen to something. 2021, you have to understand that this is the rise of the gods. Why do I say that? What does the God mean? They say, somebody say, I'm offended. He a Muslim. How he's talking about God? Oh my God. Somebody say, I'm a Christian. This is blasphemy. How do you talk this God talk? Aren't you a Muslim? Now you're a false prophet. They get mad. It's offending your sensibilities because somebody taught you the word God. Then they taught you how to feel about the word God. They taught you how to think about the word God. Taught you how to believe about the word God. But who taught you that? A man taught you that. A mind taught you that. Who created the word God? Was it God? Ask yourself that question, how deep that is. Who created the word God? Where does it come from? Did you ever study that? Because we're so intertwined and we're so stuck on language. Language can make you languish. You know what I'm talking about? We're so stuck on language that we never think about the roots. Who taught you the word God? Who made the word God? And why is it blasphemy for a man to call himself that? What does it mean to you? Is it different from what it means to the other 700 people on here? If you were born with a different set of parents, different language, if you spoke Spanish, it wouldn't be God. You spoke French, it wouldn't be God. You spoke Arabic, it would be Allah. So how did you develop your feelings towards this? You gotta think, man. You gotta think for a second. So before you say that what I'm saying is blasphemy, you have to think that your God has to be the one who taught you the highest level of information. Why is that? Because the one who's constructed your faith and your beliefs have created your entire world of interpretation and understanding. And see, you're afraid to go against that because they've constructed a God for you, telling you the way you think, telling you the rituals to do every single thing. And you've never developed a natural inclination and study and relationship to it. No, letters are semi-autonomous information machines. What does that mean? I mean, letters started off as mathematical computation. What does that mean? I mean, letters were correlative to numbers. A equals 1, 2 equals B, 3 equals C, D equals, and so on and so forth. Now I want y'all to think about this for a second. So when we talk about being mathematical in our thinking and applying our mathematical thinking, you know what I'm talking about? Then we talking about thinking in a mathematical way to where we're not just saying bullshit. No, we speaking in a mathematical way because it has to add up. See, I was taught, and I can't tell you how you was taught. I can't tell you how the Sunnis, the Shiites, I can't tell you how the Orthodox Muslims were taught. I'm going to give you something from what 19 Keys was taught since I was a baby until now. And I want you to destroy your connotation, and I want you to challenge your systems of belief because this will allow you to get to higher levels for a second. See, I was taught that Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. I was taught that Muslim means one who submits his or her will to do the will of God. I was taught that Islam is not a religion, but was used as a religion to give to black people so they can be reconnected to our original way of life. See now, so when you interpret 19 keys and the things that I do and the way that I believe, I don't want you to interpret it from the way everybody else taught you. I don't want you to interpret from the connotation your grandma taught you about Muslims and Islam. I don't want you to interpret from the way your pastor told you not to dive into and all of that. I want you to interpret from the aspect of, does this make sense to me? Is it logical? Because everything in nature has a logical order. Why is it that everything in nature has a logical order? You don't have to guess nature. The bees pollinate, they spread that pollination, it increases the environment. The flowers open up at a certain time based on the sun. They have a geometrical rotation in which they grow. Everything has an order. So if you believe God made it all, if you believe the consciousness of God stirs the nature of our reality, then that means God is logical. Show me in nature where it's emotional. It don't make no sense. Show me in nature where you just got to believe. It's all logical. So God is logical. So if from the words, the mind, the belief, and the programming of God, why would he give you something that doesn't make sense to you, that you cannot understand? It's man that confuses you, not God. God gives you nature to study. The first book was the book of reality. You go look at reality. And what are the chapters of reality? Is the study of nature. Go study the birds and the bees. Study the plants and the ocean and the moon and the stars and the sun and the trees. Study the animals and see, how does it all correlate? How does it all move? Study the herbs, the plant medicines. Oh, you start to figure out things, something that they don't teach you in school. Because before there was books, we had to study reality. We had to study the chapters of nature. And as we study and reread, it increased our intelligence. Then we started to innovate and invent based on nature. We looked at the birds and understood flight. You understand me? We looked at rocks and understood wheels. We studied geometry. We knew how to measure the planet Earth. We are 100 years from Black Wall Street being destroyed because a 19-year-old was accused of sexually assaulting a white woman in an elevator. And then the Black Brotherhood, knowing that there was going to be some issues that stemmed from this, so what they decided to do was go to the police station because the police had locked them up. And they knew, based on the recent police activities, that they were going to kill that boy. So they went in there and got into a firefight with the police officers, killed some of them, you understand me, and some of them on their side died. And well, white folks at that time created a conspiracy to utilize all of that so they can go in, burn that town down. And the danger of that is the fact that when they burnt that town down, they did it systematically. It was the first time that the government of the United States of America had dropped bombs on their own citizens, destroying the people. Because they wanted to destroy the economic position and upliftment they seen the people doing. Because people 100 years ago, I want y'all to understand that. Oh no, we're gonna get this. This is all God's speech. Don't worry, it all ties into it, brother. Here's a people that were just doing for self. They weren't begging and waiting on white men. They weren't waiting on white women. They was trying to stay away from them. They had their political parties. They had their economic opportunities running. They had their own. Somebody tag Brother Chris Cole. He just tried to call me while I'm on live. Somebody tag Chris Cole. Tell him I'm on live. Tell him I'm on the beach down the street from him. He got to come to a poolside. You understand? We're on a private island. But you have to understand what was happening during that time. What was so dangerous during that time? See, what was happening is that a revolution had caught fire. And this revolution that caught fire was black people realizing that uninterrupted, we can build wealth. Uninterrupted, we can build wealth. Now, you got to understand what uninterruption means. You understand me? And being separated from those who will cause confusion and conflict amongst you. Separated from those who will cause lies and disorder and violence and deceit. You didn't have violence. You didn't have gangs. You didn't have drugs. You didn't have the issues when we were by ourselves bidding our Black Wall Street. You don't hear them reporting on all the crimes and the black on black crime. Why not? Uninterrupted. Here we're building our political parties. The same thing happened. North Carolina. We built our political position. We had our party rolling. And they came in, destroyed, killed, and stopped us and suppressed us. So how come we thought integration was a solution in 1964? We thought integration was a solution. Why? It was June 19th, 1964, I believe, when our solution had always been in the fact that by ourselves, we are a productive people. So why did the leaders in the civil rights movement all of a sudden decide maybe they didn't know history? Maybe they weren't the greatest studiers of history. Or maybe the organizations that was pushing the movements and propagating what we should be doing were not black-owned movements in the first place. What do I mean by that? The NAACP was not started by black people. NAACP wasn't started by black people. The NAACP was started by white folks, and then they let black people in it. I want y'all to think on that for a second. We've never controlled the movement, which means that we didn't control the narrative of the movement. I want y'all to think on that for a second. See, when black people started movements, we started more dangerously. When Marcus Garvey started his movement in 1919, he decided that I'm going to build a factory. I want representation. I'm going to create black dogs. He decided that I want to create a black ship, a Star Line ship. He said, I'm going to call it the Black Star Line. They say, why you call it the Black Star Line? He said, because when I seen that they had a white Star Line, I started to thinking, how come we can't have the same? I want to have a Black Star Line. So this man went and got the money together, rallied from the people, created the first group economic funding of the people, had stocks so people can buy into it, and then was able to get big old starships. I call them starships, but y'all know what I mean. Cruise ships, cargo carrying ships, so you can do import and export. Huge ships. Huge ships. He had ice cream shops. He had all kind of different things going on. But you're talking about black people 100 years ago. We're talking about 100 years ago. And the reason I'm bringing up 100 years ago, because if we learn to own our past, then we can build off that in our present and control our future. So it's important. Because our story that's told in the minds of our people is his story, not ours. So they gonna tell you about all of the bullshit, the sucker shit that took place in our communities. They're not gonna tell you about the greatness. They're not gonna tell you how we created mathematics and writing and arithmetic. They're not gonna tell you about some of the greatest philosophers and businesses and bankers that were black people throughout history. They don't want you to grow upon this information because you start to see and connect yourself from a different level. If we only focus on the good in our community and in our story, then we start to build. So let's go to Elijah Muhammad then. Somebody said Elijah Muhammad. See, some of y'all don't like Elijah Muhammad. Then the question becomes, why not? Because his story that he told y'all, Now, I want y'all to ask this question. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was taught and given a message to deliver to black people, so-called Negroes in North America. And when he came, he delivered a dangerous message. He said, wait a minute. Don't you know that the white man is the devil and the black man is God? Don't you know that it's 196,940,000 square miles? You understand me? Don't you know the earth is 93 million miles from the sun? Don't you know that the land is 57,255,000 square miles? Don't you know that water is 139,685,000 square miles? He taught black people the speed of light. He taught black people the speed of sound. Why did he come and start teaching this mathematics? Why? And who taught him this mathematics if he only had a third grade education? Who taught him this mathematics if he only had a third grade education? He started teaching on life on Mars. He started teaching that Pluto was a real planet. And then the scientists of the world caught up with it later. But why did he teach astronomy of all things? Why did he start teaching the geography of the planet Earth? Why did he start teaching things on different planets? Why the hell did he go so far? See, he had to teach that God level. He had to teach that God level. He had to teach that God level so he could be undeniable. He had to teach that God level so it was undeniable. And not yet one of you Negroes on here, not yet one of you hating suckers on here has ever proved him wrong. Not yet. He said, at the time, he said, I give you 10,000 out of my brother's pocket if you can prove me wrong. Ain't nobody come out. Ain't nobody prove wrong. He started, why did he have the ability to be able to teach health science? How did he have the ability to teach the different vegetables that you should be eating? Oh, he started off as a farmer. But that's not where he got his education of farming. Not his education of what to eat. I want y'all to think on that for a second. Would there be a Dr. Sebi if there was no Honorable Elijah Muhammad? I want y'all to think on that for a second. Dr. Sebi gave him congratulations and he gave him his credit because he said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the only one teaching the Negro what to eat. Get him away from the pork. Get him away from those things. Oh, y'all don't like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. Challenge me on the facts. You can keep your opinions. See, the great thing about white folks and their history is they have the ability of discernment. When they go through their history, they do not pick apart the genius of their people. They tell the story of them. They don't say, well, I don't like this part of them, so we're not going to put them in the history books. We're not going to tell the people about Leonardo da Vinci because I don't like this part of his life. We didn't like this part of what Einstein said. I'm not going to tell the story of that. The Indians don't look at Mahatma Gandhi and say, well, I don't like what he said about Africans, so we're not going to teach him. Only black people pick apart their legends, their geniuses throughout history and destroy them without study. Destroy them without evolving upon the things that they taught. Only our community does that. So the question becomes is, how was he able to build up? By the time he left, it was $19 million split between his children. He talking about a man with a third grade education that grew up. He's seen people get lynched and killed. His father was a preacher. They didn't have no money. He said, here I am, muling, you understand me, on the farm. And one day I became a world scientist. He say, see, time bring these things about. He say, I was taught by God himself, who came in the person of Master Muhammad. Many wanted to deny, but none could. Even his harshest proponents say that. I'm not going to lie. He got one of the greatest redeeming programs that we've ever seen. He has a success rate of reforming the black man and woman in America that nobody else has. I'm talking about taking crackheads. I'm talking about taking drug dealers. You're talking about taking pimps and hoes and murderers and criminals and the lowest of the lowest and turning them into respectable black men and women fighting to build a nation of Islam. How you do that? How? See, I ain't asking y'all to worship nobody. I'm not asking you to become something. I'm asking you to study your own people because you come from the lineage of that same mindset. And you have that same capability if you stop letting people limit where you tap in. Stop letting people limit how you tap in. Stop listening to leaders that tell you not to study your own history. Stop listening to them fools because they will do a whole seminar trying to explain to you why you shouldn't study your own history, why you shouldn't study black men and women. And what they gonna try to do is they gonna try to find a reason, emotionally involve you into some propaganda against them, unwittingly working for white supremacy because they destroying our story. Stop letting people destroy your ability to learn your own history. Noble Drew Ali was teaching black people in America to correct their status. He was teaching black people in America what their true history was. The Black Law Dictionary. He was sending them on a path to not be property of the United States, but to be natural persons and citizens and natural people with natural rights. And to give you the game. Oh man, that man has some knowledge. The Marcus Garvey movement, they have some knowledge. But you don't see our people Why is it the big three? Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not taught by mainstream consciousness, mainstream revolutionaries. They don't teach this. Or they go teach you the W.B.E.D. Du Bois. They go teach you the Thurgood Marshalls. Or they go teach those because those are acceptable by white America standards. That level of revolutionary is acceptable. But don't you revive, don't you evolve upon, don't you have black men in America rebuilding the movements that they want destroyed forever because that's their greatest threat.